Hey guys, so I was going to do this in video form, but decided a podcast would be a better option because then if anyone asks about it, I can actually just link them to the podcast. God, there's a massive blowfly in my room and my dog keeps chasing it. Anyway, so this podcast is going to be pretty much covering tempo training because there was, I did a post to the group about different forms of progression, which don't even come in just physical form. So it's not just how many reps you do, how much weight you lift. It's not even just about the muscle-mind connection and feeling things better and having more range of motion and having shorter rests. It's not just about the physical components in the gym. There's qualitative and quantitative measures in the gym, but there's also qualitative measures in the mind. So even just getting more confidence, feeling better, having more energy, recovering better in between, having more energy in between, all of that stuff all adds up to your end of week progress, end of month progress, end of mesocycle progress. Anyway, so the topic of tempo training came up, and I was asked about my thoughts on it, and I said it depends. Now, on this lady in particular, I would have said, yeah, tempo training is actually really effective. Why? Because she just had an operation, and post-operation, things like blood flow restriction training, tempo training, all the stuff that increases metabolite stress is going to be beneficial for you. Because you probably can't put as much load on the body, and you probably can't do things to the same, exhaustion and exertion as you usually would. And you might not even be able to last as long in the gym, depending on what type of surgery you had, what type of layoff you had, and all of that stuff. So that is a really good time to actually put in tempo training or blood flow restriction training. Or even things like myo sets, myo reps, and staggered sets, and all of that other stuff. Another condition, or I should say, another scenario where tempo training could be beneficial is when you coming back from injury, or when you are injured, because you might not, for example, if you have say something to do with a tendon, or something to do with your knee, or something isn't feeling right, and you're not able to do, bench press or something, at least you can do, blood flow restriction for your pecs, where you're not using a compound move, for your triceps, for your arms, for your shoulders. You can even do tempo for stuff like that, or if you are able to use, tempo training for dumbbells or something like that, then that's when tempo training can come in. Other times, it's an actual joint issue, and you aren't able to do the movement whatsoever. So you can still train, instead of in compound moves, you can train them in isolation and still add in that aspect of intensity through holding the blood in there, which tempo training helps do, and so does myo reps and blood flow restriction training and all of that. Now, another time I would use tempo training is just for the general athlete who doesn't have any issues. But I would not use it as a mainstay in their program, because using a pause or a longer eccentric, which is what's usually used as the eccentric, is where it causes the most muscle damage and where growth and all that stuff actually occurs as you rip the muscles through that eccentric phase. So, it would not be a mainstay or a main focus, because it does not allow sufficient intensity or sufficient weight to be put on the bar. And volume and intensity are the main drivers of hypertrophy. And if you're looking to actually grow muscle, you need to increase your volume and your intensity over the cycle. And if you're going to be doing time under tension, you're going to be doing less weight with it. So yeah, it does add in a factor of intensity and an extra factor, volume-wise, in terms of the time that your muscles are held under tension. But all in all, you aren't going to be getting stronger and you aren't going to be growing as much muscle as you could if you are not increasing your total volume or total intensity if strength is what you're after. I would use it if there was a weakness in the lift, like coming off the chest. I would put in like a pause bench press, because then you're making that position weaker by not having a stretch reflex, or by really relaxing the muscles in that position, like a weighted stretch, and then you're having to push up again. So that makes it harder there and makes it easier to get the bar off the chest, which in turn will feed into the normal bench press. Would I use it alone? No. Same with pause squats. Same with eccentrics. Like, I use eccentrics with my lifters and paused ones, but I use it not just for the sake of improving, like, the sticking points out of the hole or out of where they are sticking, but also to maintain their bracing, their breathing, to maintain their tightness, because that might be what their issue is. Or with the squats, it might be to ensure that they are hitting depth, or to make the squat harder without adding weight, so that we can actually focus on getting them down into the hole, because as soon as you add weight, they're not hitting it anymore. So I make it harder with where they can hit depth until they can hit depth at a heavier weight, if that makes sense. So that is my view on tempo training for the general lifter, as in, like, if you're injured, whatever, or if you're an advanced liftee and you need to pick up weak points or fix tightness or bracing or hit the hole in the squat.